When a Premier League legend's name gets linked with the Red Dragons, you know something extraordinary is happening. But was this Hollywood dream or Hollywood madness? All right, Wrexham fans, if you love the Red Dragons like I do, smash that subscribe button and let's dive into the transfer saga that had everyone talking. From Stamford Bridge to the racecourse, could it actually happen? Raheem Sterling to Wrexham. Let that sink in for a moment. A four-time Premier League champion, a player who's graced the biggest stages in world football, being linked with our Red Dragons. When former Wales international Dean Saunders suggested Sterling should make the move to the Championship, the football world stopped in its tracks. This wasn't just pub talk or Twitter banter, this was a genuine discussion about whether one of England's most decorated wingers could pull on the red shirt and play at the racecourse ground. For Wrexham supporters, it felt surreal, the kind of story that only happens to clubs owned by Hollywood stars. But here's the thing. Since Ryan Reynolds and McElhenney took over, we've learned to expect the unexpected. We've seen the club rise from non-league obscurity to the Championship in just 3 remarkable seasons. We've watched global superstars visit the racecourse, so why not Sterling? Yet beneath the excitement and the headlines, there's a serious question every Wrexham fan needs to ask. Would this actually make sense? Because at the end of the day, this isn't about making a splash, it's about building something sustainable in the Championship. To understand how we even got here, you need to know where Raheem Sterling's career has gone. This is a player who terrorized defenses for Manchester City, who won everything there was to win under Pep Guardiola. In the summer of 2022, Chelsea paid £50 million to bring him to Stamford Bridge, convinced he'd be the missing piece in their attack. But West London has been a graveyard for big-name signings lately, and Sterling became another casualty. He struggled to find his rhythm, the goals dried up, and by last season he was shipped out on loan to Arsenal. Even at the Emirates, he couldn't recapture that magic. When he returned to Chelsea this past summer, manager Enzo Maresca made it brutally clear. Sterling wasn't in his plans. The bomb squad, they called it. Players training separately, kept away from the first team, essentially told to find new clubs. For a player of Sterling's stature, it must have been humiliating. Here's someone who's played in Champions League finals, who scored at World Cups, reduced to searching for a lifeline. Meanwhile, Wrexham were writing their own incredible story. After securing back-to-back promotions, National League champions in 2023, League Two champions in 2024, Phil Parkinson's boys earned their place in League One last season. The question wasn't if they'd compete, but how quickly they could adapt to third-tier football. The answer? Brilliantly. Wrexham didn't just survive in League One, they thrived. Week after week, the lads put in performances that showed they belonged. The racecourse was rocking, the documentary cameras were rolling, and the whole football world was watching. Then came April 2025. A 3-0 victory over Charlton Athletic at home secured second place and promotion to the Championship. 3 promotions in 3 years. Unprecedented, historic. The first club in English football history to achieve such a feat across the top 5 divisions. From non-league to the second tier, it sounds like a film script, but it's our reality. Summer 2025 brought serious investment. The gaffer strengthened the squad with championship-quality players, focused on young talents like Callum Doyle and Nathan Broadhead, who could grow with the club. Smart, strategic signings that fit the wedge structure and the long-term vision. And then, in early December, Dean Saunders dropped his bombshell suggestion on TalkSport. Raheem Sterling should consider Wrexham. The moment those words left Saunders' mouth, social media exploded. Wrexham fans couldn't decide whether to laugh or actually get excited. Sterling to the racecourse ground? Really? Former Aston Villa midfielder Lee Hendry quickly responded, and his words carried weight. Speaking exclusively to Football League World, he didn't mince his words. I'd probably disagree with Dino on that. I don't think he'd be a fit that would be right for Wrexham. Here's what nobody's talking about.
Hendry wasn't being negative. He was being realistic about what Wrexham actually need. Phil Parkinson's system is built on work rate, pressing and collective effort. Every player grafts for the team. Could Sterling, at this stage of his career, adapt to that intensity? Could he press like our wingers do, track back like our wide men, fight in the trenches week in, week out in the Championship? Particularly the way they play, Hendry continued, I'm not sure Raheem would be the one unless they had him and played him as a bit of a luxury role where he could play off the front. A luxury player. That phrase cuts to the heart of it. Wrexham don't do luxury. We do blood, sweat and togetherness. The racecourse crowd demands effort before elegance. Would Sterling understand that? Could he even want to? Then there's the financial reality that no one wants to mention. Sterling's wages at Chelsea are astronomical. Even with a pay cut, he'd be earning more than most Championship teams' entire wage bills. For a club that's been smart with money, that's spent big but spent wisely on younger players with resale value, Sterling represents the opposite approach. Hendry suggested alternatives. Maybe you could see him at an Ipswich or a Middlesbrough. Bigger clubs with Premier League ambitions and deeper pockets. That stung a bit, didn't it? But he might be right. What would you have done in Phil Parkinson's position if Sterling's agent had actually rung? Would you take the gamble on a fade-in superstar, hoping for one last burst of brilliance, or would you trust the process that's brought you this far?
Wrexham supporters were completely split. On social media, you had fans dreaming about Sterling tearing up the Championship in red. Others were more cautious, pointing out that Arsenal couldn't get a tune out of him, so why would we? Imagine Sterling at the racecourse, one fan tweeted. Reynolds and McElhenney might actually pull this off. But just as many responded with reality checks. We don't need big names past their prime. Look at what we've built without them. The national media treated it as a quirky story, another chapter in Wrexham's Hollywood fairy tale. But locally, in North Wales, people understood this was about more than headlines. The Leader newspaper ran pieces examining whether Sterling could genuinely contribute to a promotion push, or if it would be a distraction. Pundits weighed in from all angles. Some agreed with Saunders, arguing that Sterling still has quality and Wrexham's profile could tempt him. Others sided with Hendry, pointing out the tactical and financial complications. Behind the scenes at the racecourse, you have to imagine Phil Parkinson and the recruitment team had a quiet laugh before getting back to actual business. They're not building a team of feeding stars, looking for one last paycheck. They're building something sustainable, something real. The dressing room culture Parkinson has created is based on humility and hunger. Every signing has to fit that mould. Would Sterling, with all his achievements and all his baggage, embrace that culture? It's a massive question mark. Here's the bigger picture. This whole saga reveals where Wrexham actually are in their journey. We're in the Championship now, yes, and that's extraordinary. But we're not a destination club for Premier League stars. Not yet, anyway. What we are is a club with a clear identity and a proven pathway. The players who've succeeded here are the ones who've bought into Parkinson's methods, who've understood what it means to represent this community. Paul Mullin didn't come for glory. He came to be part of something special and became a legend. Elliot Lee worked his socks off and earned his place in Wrexham folklore. Sterling's situation also highlights the evolution of modern football. Here's a player who's earned over £300,000 a week in his career, now potentially facing a reality where Championship clubs are his best option. It's a harsh reminder that football moves fast and reputations only carry you so far. For Wrexham, staying grounded is crucial. Yes, Reynolds and McElhenney could probably afford Sterling's wages if they wanted to make a statement. But would it help us survive in the Championship? Would it get us closer to the Premier League dream? Probably not.
The smart move, the Wrexham way, is to keep doing what's worked. Sign hungry players with points to prove, build team chemistry, trust Phil Parkinson's vision. That's what got us from non-league to the Championship in 3 years. Why change now? At the end of the day, linking Raheem Sterling with Wrexham shows how far we've come. A few years ago, nobody would have even suggested it. Now, it's a genuine talking point, even if it doesn't make practical sense. But here's what I love about our club. We're not chasing glamour for glamour's sake. We're building something real, something sustainable, something that belongs to this town and these supporters. From Hollywood to the racecourse, we're writing our own script, and it doesn't need a Premier League superstar to make it compelling. Let me know in the comments, would you have taken a punt on Sterling, or are we better off sticking with the plan? Hit like if you're backing Parkinson's approach, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds.